energy consumption by the human brain per day is approximately equal to 25 watts. And that amount is enough to illuminate a light bulb. Now, I think it's safe to assume you can say the mind is the most powerful tool you have, both metaphorically, physically, and spiritually. Now, as a young child, my father used to make me read certain books. There would be a certain set of books which made me read about the Zen wisdom, about the Zen teachings. Now, these books made me completely change my outlook upon the world, how I perceive things. He gave it to me in good faith, hoping that I would cultivate good habits out of reading these, and also learn a lesson or two, and most importantly, enjoy myself reading them. So, apparently, these books, as a young child of around the age of 7, I was more fascinated about reading these comic-like storybooks. I was more happy looking at the illustrations and the comic-like bubbles, the text bubbles. So, at the end of every story, there used to be a little moral at the end. So, as a child, I would usually skip that and really not pay much attention to it. But as I grew older, I reread these stories back again, but this time with a different perspective. As I could see the subtext, the deeper meaning out of these stories and the morals they gave. Now, recently, I discovered two concepts, like one concept from a Zen story and the other while watching a movie. Now, these two concepts were very similar, one which appeals to the adults and one which appeals to young children. Now, usually I would start with the first concept. Long ago, there was a wise Zen master. People from near and far would come seek his counsel and ask for his wisdom. The Zen master, being noble, would seldom turn anyone away. He was open to all. One day, an important man came to him, and he told him, "I have come here to ask you to teach me about Zen. Open my mind to enlightenment." The tone of this man was a little arrogant, as he was a highly intelligent scholar who was used to getting his own way and used to being in charge of a lot of things. But the Zen master simply smiled and said, "Let's discuss this matter over a cup of tea." So as they sat down, the Zen master poured his guest a cup. So he kept pouring and pouring. As soon enough, the tea reached the brim of the cup. And eventually, it started pouring out and spilled onto the tables and onto the robes of the man. The man yelled, "Stop! Can't you see that the tea is spilling over? The cup is full." The Zen master stopped, smiled. He said, "Your mind is like this cup of tea, so full of your own thoughts. If you can't empty yourself, how can I teach you about Zen? Come back to me when your cup is empty. Come back to me with an empty mind." Hearing this, the visitor departed in a search for enlightenment. Often so it happens that we are so used to our own thoughts and ideas that we may not listen carefully when engaging in conversation with other people. Ask yourself, when is the last time you heard someone not to reply, but just for the sole purpose of listening? Often we are filled with our own prejudices, our own thoughts, our ideas, that it often crowds ourselves, and we are not open to anything else apart from ourselves. Now, the other day, I was checking out Netflix, enjoying the new complimentary month, the first month being free. I went on a binge-watching spree of a lot of movies. So I came across this movie, and I'm sure you're all familiar of it. It's called Kung Fu Panda 2. So most of you have seen it. Now, in this movie, there's this character called Lord Shen. Now, he had this unquenchable thirst for power, and he wouldn't stop unless he took over the whole of ancient China. There was a goat in the movie who was a fortune teller. She warned Shen that the cup you're trying to fill has no bottom. You will never be satisfied. You will always desire more. What comes next after you conquer China? So this concept was very similar to the earlier concept of having an empty cup towards having your ideas, new ideas coming in. He said that the bottomless cup exists with all of us. See, as a human being, we are driven towards these basic desires. In psychology, it's called the Maslow's theory of human motivation. Now, our basic desires are easily fulfilled in most cases, but as we go up the hierarchy, most of us yet struggle with issues related to self-esteem. And in this attempt, we try to fill it up with hollow things, materialistic things, food, empty friendships, just to try to fill that void and more void for more power and for high understanding. I feel self-esteem comes from within. Your greatest motivation is you and nothing else. There will be no secret ingredient as Poe was promised. There is no secret ingredient. The dragon scroll, which promised unlimited access to power, was blank. It was a own reflection of yourself and what you can do and what you are capable of doing without any external help. So I urge you all to empty your cup. Thank you.